One of the international aid groups working to get relief into Gaza is the World Food Program. And on Friday, we asked its executive director, Cindy McCain, what needs to change on the ground so her teams can operate there.
We need access. We need full, unfettered access. And right now, we don't have that. We can occasionally get a few trucks in. We can occasionally get up all the way to the north, but is not consistent and it is not to scale either. All of the other issues regarding maritime and airdrops and all those are all good. We need any way to be able to get food in any way we can, but they can't take it to scale. We really need access to the road, and we need to be able to get up to the north all the way without being caught at checkpoints and turned around.
I read the World Food Program estimates simply addressing the basic food needs will require at least 300 trucks to enter Gaza every day and distribute food, especially in the north, as you mentioned. But you've only managed to get about 9 convoys of trucks in since the start of the year. That's nothing, right?
It's nothing. It really is. We were able to yesterday, or today, I guess it was, get 9 trucks in, period. We also were part of an airdrop today that was 6.1 metric tons. That's nothing. We just cannot continue this way. As you know, famine is imminent in the north. And so unless we can really convince our diplomatic groups and our political groups around the world to help convince the Israelis that we must get in and we must do it in a sustained and unfettered way, we can't. People are going to die otherwise, and they already are dying.
When you or your colleagues speak with Israeli officials about getting that access, what is the reason they're giving you why they're not letting you in? Do they not understand the situation, or is there some other reason?
Well, I'm not really sure where the mistake has been made, but I do know that there's been accusations that somehow the UN isn't doing their job, which couldn't be further from the truth. So I think, again, it's politics. I think it's something that various factions are involved in. All I need to know is when and where we can take the food in, make sure that we can distribute it. That's what I want to know from the Israeli government.
You're especially concerned as well about what's happening in parts of Africa, specifically Sudan, South Sudan, and Chad. And you've said this could become the world's largest hunger crisis. Why is that?
Well, quite frankly, it's the forgotten crisis now. Sudan is no longer paid attention to in the world media. And things haven't stopped there. People are still fighting. There is no food. We have no access. And we're also fighting a climate change issue there as well. So it's almost a combination of a perfect storm with 2.2 million refugees across the borders in various countries, especially Chad. And the funding sources that we have right now and our ability to be able to fund, it just isn't meshing. We don't have enough money, and we need to be able to make sure that we can feed the refugees that are across the border and also get access into Sudan from the western side, the southern side through South Sudan and through the north. We've got to get food in there as well, because it can be and will be, I hope not, I pray not, the next largest humanitarian crisis that we will know.
And not only a humanitarian crisis, you've suggested it could be a real national security risk for the United States, right?
Very much so. People migrate. The bad guys get mixed up in all of this. Food is the major element here in being able to keep populations stable and keep them healthy as well. With those two things not tended to, then people migrate, they run, they take their families, they do anything they can to feed their families.
You've made an interesting point that I think is a good reminder to all of us that these hunger crises around the world are not being caused by natural disasters, but by man-made events and conflict. And nowhere right now, perhaps at least in this hemisphere where we sit, is that most apparent than in Haiti. What is the situation there as you understand it?
It's catastrophic. We WFP are still in there, and we still are working in the north somewhat and somewhat down towards the center. But it is a very dicey situation. We are continuing our school feeding programs, but once again, as you've seen, there have been evacuations of UN personnel out of there. It's just again, this is a diplomatic solution. This is a man-made crisis, and we need a diplomatic solution to it, and we need it now. We need it right now.
You know, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you while we have you about the death of the late Senator Joe Lieberman, who, of course, was such a good friend to you and to your late husband. What did he mean to the McCain family?
Oh, he was Uncle Joe to my children. He was a friend to my family. And I had the extreme opportunity of watching two men together not only navigate the difficulties that the world offered up to them as in what they did, but also watch them solve problems together in a way that was gracious and kind and loving towards humanity. And I had the good fortune of being able to call him my friend too.
Executive Director Cindy McCain of the World Food Program, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.